Usually in this series of videos, I teach you how to give checkmate. This video is different. This video is a warning. In this video, I want to teach you how to avoid checkmate. There are a few ways you can lose a game quickly, and I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. There are 3 main ways to lose a game quickly. Let's look at them.
Number 3.
You have to keep your king safe, so why not surround it with some of your pieces? Well, if you do, you need to keep a close eye on your opponent's knights. Let's see what can happen. The quickest way you can lose a game by surrounding your king is 3 moves. This is not good, as it completely blocks the white king. F3 is a better square for the knight. Usually it is a bad idea to move the same piece twice in the first 7 moves. White tries to scare the nuisance knight away, but this is a big mistake. This would be embarrassing if it happened to you, but games like this do sometimes happen. This game is from 1937. White can just take this undefended pawn. But then black will start attacking it. White defends, but black attacks it again. Notice that white has now surrounded his own king. Black now attacks the e5 pawn for a 3rd time, and this time white has run out of ways to defend it. So white decides to chase away the bishop, a threat which black ignores. White greedily takes the bishop. White's pawn is pinned and cannot take the knight. Sometimes white gets to win. This game is from 1950. Black has surrounded his king, and white takes full advantage. Again, the pawn is pinned and cannot take the knight. So try not to surround your king. Your opponent's knights might finish the game quickly, and be especially careful if you see the queen lining up opposite your king.
Number 2.
Do you remember what you should do with your first 7 moves? 2 pawn moves, 2 knight moves, 2 bishop moves, and castling. But which pawns should you move? Your pawn moves need to let your bishops out, and the best ones to move are the central pawns. Moving the e-pawn lets your king's bishop out, and moving the d-pawn lets your queen's bishop out. Moving the f-pawn doesn't let a bishop out. And it lets your opponent attack your king. In fact, this is the quickest way to lose a game of chess. It's called fool's mate, and it will become obvious why. The game is over after only 2 moves. Here is another classic example of why moving the f-pawn is dangerous. White's best plan here is to reset the pieces before anyone else notices. But this mistake is easy to avoid. Don't move the f-pawn before you castle.
Number 1.
Finally, let's look at the most common way to lose a chess game quickly, the f-pawn attack. At the start of a game, the f-pawn is very weak, only defended by the king. And your king shouldn't be doing jobs, it should be hiding. This example is from 1936. The game looks normal so far, and White thinks he has pinned Black's knight to the queen. White is surprised by Black's move and doesn't stop to think, happily taking Black's queen. But the smile doesn't last for long. This idea of sacrificing the queen for an f-pawn attack goes back to 1750. Let's watch the original. It was quite popular in those days to give one player a head start. In this game, White started without his a1 rook. But the most famous f-pawn attack is Scholar's Mate. White wins in 4 moves. Black decides to attack the annoying White queen. But it is a big mistake. So what is the best way to avoid Scholar's Mate? Don't copy White's bishop move. Move your knight instead, like this. Then when the queen moves here, you can block with the g-pawn. And if the queen moves here, you can block with the knight. And you are safe from Scholar's Mate. But be careful if your opponent moves the queen first. Don't block with the g-pawn yet, because the queen attacks your e5 pawn. First move the knight to defend the e-pawn. Then when the bishop comes out to threaten Scholar's Mate, then you can block with the g-pawn. So here's what you need to remember. Don't surround your king. Don't move your f-pawn before you've castled. And finally, watch out for f-pawn attacks.